Hello, this is James Himm Mitchell, and I'm here with your week in Tarot. For this week's reading, we're going to be using the Fairy Tarot cards by Doreen Virtue, Radleigh Valentine, with stunning artwork by Howard David Johnson. So again, this week's reading is going to be with the Fairy Tarot cards. And so when I do these general readings using Tarot or the Lenormand, because that's what I use in my other weekly videos, I shuffle the cards with the intention of asking, what do we need to know about the upcoming week? So I'm going to shuffle the deck in a few different ways, focusing on that intention and knowing that infinite intelligence and the fairies are going to give us the messages that we need to receive. So now I'm going to take the deck and I'm going to cut it to 3 and put it back together. And then I'm going to draw the top 3 cards. But before I do that, let's take a look to see what the base card is. And so now the base card for me serves as the foundation for the week. So now this is the 4 of Spring. So now this card for me represents being at a certain stage or level in your development. There's some progress that has been made that needs to be acknowledged, that needs to be celebrated. And as you do that, that is setting the foundation for the next stage or level that you are moving towards. Now, in the image on the card, there is a male and female fairy, and it looks like that they are about to dance. So sometimes for me, this represents like the dance of life. And so this is a time to really enjoy all that you have accomplished as you move through life. Now, this could be in relation to a performance. Sometimes I see this as like praise for work performance. Sometimes it could be about acknowledging that you didn't get where you are now all by yourself. Sometimes this is about teamwork and partnerships. So it's about celebrating not just your progress, but the people who were influential in helping you get where you're at. So I'm seeing that with the 4 of Spring. So now let's turn the deck over and let's look at the top 3 cards. I'm just making sure that they're in the shot okay. All right. And so now, first card is going to be for the beginning of the week. So let's see. This is Justice. So Justice is a major arcana card, and it represents for me the idea of doing the right thing. So again, going with the base card being the 4 of Spring and celebrating the progress that we've made, it indicates on some level doing the right thing. In terms of what we could experience in the week ahead, whenever a Justice card comes up, it represents being faced with the decision, and with that, you might want to consider how you approach your decision-making progress. This card would suggest being cool, rational, analytical. It represents being impartial, because justice is neutral. So it represents being impartial. You know, sometimes I see this card in reflection to legal matters. So it could be, you know, a legal matter is going to be the focus for some of us this week. But even with that, the more spiritual implications, because major arcana cards carry for me the idea of spiritual or psychological influences or factors at work, this for me represents the law of cause and effect. And so this is just saying that we are all operating, whether you believe in it or not, we are all operating under the law of cause and effect. If you're experiencing an effect, then you're being asked to go back and see what was the causation of that effect. Now, the sword that the fairies are looking at could be, you know, you come across or you have a certain level of understanding, or that a new idea you're being faced with. And so this card could be about evaluating that new idea, that new concept. So again, this is justice, and it just represents the idea of operating under the law of cause and effect, or the more mundane aspect of it could be that you're faced with a decision that needs to be made, and it's in your best interest to make sure that you are as informed in your decision-making progress, or, in this situation as you possibly can be. Justice, if you go with the idea, again, being in a courtroom, that it's about weighing the pros and cons and all the evidence that comes before you and making a decision based on the evidence that you have. So I'm seeing that with justice. That's at the beginning of the week. So the card for the middle of the week is the Six of Winter. So now this is a card that represents going through a transition. And so for me, it represents a difficult start, but it becomes easier as time goes on. I love the fact that this card is coming after justice, because if we go with the idea of being faced with a decision that needs to be made, then this card is asking us to be as objective as we possibly can be. So that, again, it goes back to the idea of justice being neutral and impartial. And the other thing here, now this is a number 6 card. 6 for me represents the path of responsibility. So it could be, what level of responsibility do you have in the decision-making process? And with justice, justice is a card about making a decision not just for yourself, but it's for the best and highest good of everyone involved. And so that's the 6 with the responsibility, because 6 is also a family-oriented number as well. So it might be that the decision that needs to be made is not just going to affect yourself, but will affect other people. And some of those people you may be responsible for, but it could also be a process that allows you to not assume responsibility for people who need to be responsible for themselves. The other thing about the Six of Winter for me when it comes up, it could represent paying attention to our dreams. So I see this as a dream card. So we're being asked in the middle of the week if we have any particular dream messages to honor them, because dreams are designed to help us heal and improve our lives, and just as the fairy is in the boat to help us move forward. So allow the messages from your dreams to be honored and enable you to move forward. So I'm seeing that with the Six of Winter. And then our final card, which is rounding out the week, is Life Experience. Okay, so now this is a synchronistic moment for me. Prior to doing this video, I was meditating and I got a download about this particular card. So I'm going to put this down to show you that these are the notes. I wrote Life Experience and then all the information that I was downloaded from that. So basically, when Life Experience comes up, it's asking us if we go with the idea of the transition and maybe the dream messages, since I followed that with the card before, that Life Experience is all about getting divine revelation. The way it came to me in my meditation was the truth bomb. So some of us may be getting truth bombs this week. And so with that, the Life Experience card can suggest that, we might get those truth bombs in a way that might be uncomfortable for us, because this card can sometimes represent, disruption. It could represent, a chaotic period. It could represent some upheaval. And it could feel like life is being turned upside down, being turned on its head, that kind of experience. So what I wrote in my notes was, when it looks like life is falling apart, when it's crumbling down around us, that is when we're being asked to check what it is that we believe and lean in on the spiritual understanding that we have. That's what came into me in meditation. So this is the message that I needed to share. If you look at the image, there are 2 fairies, and they are looking at a tower, and they are about to approach the path towards the tower. So when I saw this card in meditation, and regarding that path, I was told to write this down. It said that it looks free and clear, but you don't know what unexpected things can happen along the way, because this card carries with it the sense of either doing the unexpected or something coming unexpectedly. So they're looking, and it looks like everything's free and clear, but it might not remain that way as they continue to move along the path. And that's just life. What I wrote after that, it says, life experience is gained during the unexpected and the unplanned moments in our lives. And so that's what this card is about. And then I was shown one of my former ministers in my life, and she used to always say, this too shall pass. And so that's the message I want to offer. When it looks like things are really upsetting, uncomfortable, you don't know how you're going to get out of it, you don't know how you could see yourself through it, this card says this too shall pass, because everything in life is temporary. It may not look like it in the experience when you're having it, but it will pass, because all things in the physical world are temporary. Sometimes with this card, it can be about the deconstruction of beliefs. So if you're experiencing, life's more challenging or chaotic moments, it could be that it's happening because you need to check what it is that you truly believe about the foundation that that experience is built on. Sometimes it represents, or sometimes our beliefs have to crash down around us so we can really examine if that's true for us at this point in time. It may have served us in the past, but we may need to re-examine that and construct new belief systems and therefore create a new experience. So the other thing I want to say about this card is that as we move towards the end of the week, we may have flashes of insight. We may have mind-blowing experiences, so to speak, where you just suddenly get moments of realization, moments of clarity, but they come, at a moment's notice. They come unexpectedly. They come just out of the blue, all of a sudden, those kinds of things. When they say, well, the idea just came to me, and with that idea just coming to you, or that expression coming to me right now, this card can be about brainstorming. So, you may get an idea, or you may have to brainstorm about something that will help you move ahead. Before you take the path, like the fairy's just standing here, before you take that step, consider doing some brainstorming first, because that may help you be better prepared for those unexpected or unexplained or unplanned for events. So that's all that came through. I just love this. I had the feeling, I said I needed to write this down, because the universe will work where this card will show up. And so that's exactly what happened. So the final thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the numbers on all the cards, and I'm going to add them up to see what the major arcana card is for the overall lesson. So Justice is 8, the Six of Winter is 6, Life Experience is 16, and the total is 30. Now there are 22 major arcana cards in the deck, so a number over 22 needs to be reduced. So I'm going to take the 30 and reduce it by adding the 3 and the 0, and that gives us 3. So the third major arcana card in the deck is the Empress. And so I'm looking for it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is our major arcana lesson card. So the Empress is all about productivity. She's all about creativity. It represents a time of growth and development, because most depictions of the Empress is that she's pregnant. So I always see this as, some level of expectancy. Now the number 3 is a number of results. So it could be like, we are in the process of waiting for something to be made manifest. And that would be like the idea of the baby coming out into the world. So this we consider, what is your baby? What is it that you're trying to grow and develop? It could be suggesting that There may be some more work done in that process before it can be made ready. It could be there's some aspect of nurturing that needs to be involved in that, because the Empress is all about nurturing. And so let's talk about the idea of nurturing. When she comes up, it represents the idea of taking care of other people, taking care of business. I call this my taking care of business card. But she can also be about the ways that we need to nurture and love and take care of ourselves. So how can we do that? As we honor our commitments to other people, how can we honor ourselves? You know, I see this card a lot when I'm talking to women in particular, because most of my tarot clientele are women. And when this card comes up, I always stress the idea of making sure that they are not putting themselves last on the list of things that need to be taken care of. So again, the Empress is about growth and development. It's about productivity. It's about the waiting period for something to be made manifest or some result coming into the world. And lastly, how can you nurture and care for yourself just as much as you do for those around you this week? So that is the lesson card. So again, we have the Justice card. You know, again, going with the idea that there may be a decision that needs to be made, and how can we do it, you know, from an impartial and neutral place? How can we make sure that we have all the facts, the evidence to weigh on, you know, the pros and the cons? And how can we make that decision that's not just right for ourselves, but right for everyone else involved? You know, the Six of Winter is understanding that there may be a transition that we experience this week, but it's moving from things being difficult to things becoming easier. It also represents paying attention to our dreams, so looking for dream guidance, especially if you're in that decision-making process. It could be a dream comes that will help you better make the decision. And then the last is a life experience, and I love how this card showed up. This was actually the prompt for me to even make the video, because I haven't made tarot videos in quite some time. But this card is about setting off on a new path. It represents whatever truth bombs we might get thrown our way this week. It's all designed to help us really examine what it is that we believe, and to see if we need to change what it is that we're believing about a certain experience in any way. But even with that, the tough times are the times in which we are being asked to see our level of growth, because that's when we really experience a great deal of growth, is during the more challenging times. And it's all designed for our spiritual growth and development. So again, these are the cards. This has been your Week in Tarot. I am James Himm Mitchell, and I look forward to sharing this space with you again in our next video. And until then, have a tarot-tastic week, and take care.